Hello everyone, welcome to my research presentation. My name is Isra Abbas. I'm a McNair Scholar at Northeastern Illinois University in the English department. My faculty mentor is Matthew Sage at Northeastern Illinois University in the Communications, Media, and Theater department. My research is about the impact of digital humanities in cataloging Sudanese digital poetics. I'd like to take you all on a virtual trip to Sudan, which is a country located in the heart of Africa. As you can see here, Sudan is specifically located in the northern part of Africa, south of Egypt. Sudan is the most populated country in Africa. Many Sudanese citizens have recently migrated out of Sudan due to specific social and political issues such as famine, harsh living situations, and looking for better career opportunities. There have been many historical and recent social and political movements that have resulted in these issues. Sudan has been through many political movements, such as gaining independence from Egypt and Britain in 1956, then later South Sudan gained independence from North Sudan in 2011. Over time, many social and political issues developed within Sudan. One of the main issues that the recent social movement that started on December 2018 occurred was the lack of freedom of speech. This has resulted in a massacre to peaceful protesters and the Sudanese government shutting down the internet at the time, so the Sudanese citizens could not have the right to speak about what is truly going on in Sudan to the rest of the world. These events have and still are traumatizing the Sudanese citizens. Sudanese people living in Sudan are dealing with harsh living situations, such as not having basic needs provided. The prices of food have risen while the rich, mainly the military and politicians, collect for themselves instead of assisting the Sudanese community. Some examples of the punishments that the Sudanese citizens deal with when speaking up against the government is getting arrested, killed, going missing, and abuse, especially towards women and children. Over the recent years, Sudanese poets living in Sudan volunteered to create an organization called Nas with Notepads, the word Nas meaning people in Arabic, people with notepads, to create a safe space for poets to read their poems freely in secrecy. Poetry is used as a form of activism for free speech in Sudan because of being known as one of the rarest countries for free speech. I will play a short clip from a video produced by BBC News in 2017 that will take you all across the Nile River by boat to a private open mic. Featured in this video are two Sudanese poets who are included as part of my research. Now that we have concluded our trip from Sudan, my research is focused on the problem regarding the lack of freedom of speech which impacted the Sudanese citizens and the Sudanese communities across the world. Not having free speech over the years has damaged them, creating a generational trauma. Now that technology is improving, this will create better opportunities to use free speech, such as the use of poetry. Growing up as a first-generation Sudanese American myself, I noticed that the Sudanese literature, especially poetry, and other modern works are not represented well at American libraries. I've been searching for a Sudanese digital poetics archive for a long time, but according to the digital archives in the American Library Association and the Library of Congress, it does not exist yet. During my visits to Sudan, I have noticed a strict government and the environment that prevented many Sudanese, including myself, to speak up freely due to being afraid of the harsh punishments. Having the privilege to be in America, I feel that I have the responsibility to use my voice and skills to develop ideas and questions to form the solution. My research questions are: how can we transform Sudanese poetry into a digital form, and how can this process expand the importance and awareness of freedom of speech needed in Sudan. For Sudanese literature to be equally represented at libraries, a digital format can enhance a broad interpretation for others who are unknown of the other side's literature. Developing a digital archive is a way to improve the possibility of exposure to others. The digital library includes an organized collection of digital archives. This is the best route to bring Chinese literature in an easy access form throughout America and abroad. I created a website and social media accounts to expand the words of Sudanese poets to be accessible everywhere. The purpose of my research is to use a combination of both poetry and coding, which is also known as digital humanities. This is a form of activism for Sudanese poems to be represented well. Poetry is a form of expression used for many years across the world. In 1990, Mahjoub Sharif wrote a poem called A Homesick Sparrow while he was in prison for speaking up against the new Islamic government at the time. The impact of this poem has developed tremendously throughout the Sudanese community with results of the political events. The suffering that he has dealt with included being trapped in a place where it was not safe for him to freely be a poet, teacher, and an activist. This poem is still an inspiration throughout the Sudanese community across the world in many ways. My research largely explores poetry as a source of free speech in topics about colorism, racism, and gender violence. This portrays a domestic and international concern with poetry as freedom of speech in contemporary and historical settings, such as Mahdist poetry. Media is a powerful tool to use in modern society about these issues. Digital media is used as a tool by immigrants to gain information about not just the countries outside of Sudan, but to gain certain opportunities for better and safer living for themselves and or their family. Those who have migrated from Sudan have expanded their knowledge to improve Sudan in the best way possible. Over time, coding has become a use of social justice. Digital poetry, such as a haiku form, is a way for writers and coders to express themselves and spread important messages in different points of views with different ways of understandings. For example, this digital poem from my website is originally written by a Sudanese poet named Ines Suleiman, a founder of Nas with Notepads. She mentioned to me that it was hard for her to express the word blinking from her poem Homesick in a spoken and written form, but when I used coding, I was able to find a way for her to easily express this word. For this to happen, I have used specific methods. For my methodology, I used a qualitative approach. Once I created a website, I contacted Chinese poets from Nas with Notepads to fill out a consent form, which is approved by the IRB to be a part of my research to catalog and digitalize their poems into the Sudanese poetic archives. Using analytic methods, I would need to collect certain data by using an anonymous Google Forms survey. These are the questions that I will be asking those who visit my website and fill out my survey. These are important to focus on and to know for my research due to collecting certain information on how my website has impacted both the Sudanese community and other communities as well across the world. Anyone, Sudanese or not, are welcome to fill out the survey if they are interested. Also, have the access to the internet and are able to fill out the survey. Data will be collected in an orderly fashion. First, I invited people to my website by posting on social media, sharing with my friends, classmates, beginner scholars, professors, and librarians, along with my mentor's assistants, sharing the survey with others, which results in snowball sampling. The more visitors to my website, the more likely the survey will be filled out. Currently, I have reached my maximum goal of 25 surveys total filled out as of today, but new data is still being collected. After IRB approval in the first week of this month, I have started collecting data. As shown here, so far 22 out of 25 people, which is about 95% who filled out my survey, have said that they have never read a poem written by a Sudanese poet before. Majority of them have never even knew the existence of Sudanese poetry and are so glad to have found my website. Notice how my data already expresses the purpose to my research of the need to diversify libraries in America. Throughout my research process, so far my website has already grown traffic. With the use of technology, creating a digital archive and catalog can improve on sharing with everyone living in any country who have the access to the internet. As shown here, more than 1,600 people from 26 countries have already visited my website referred from specific social media. This is a big step to the next steps I have left to work on and plan to continue. My next continued steps are to collect more data from those who fill out my survey to determine more evidence of the reality of lack of Sudanese poetry in American libraries and the lack of free speech in Sudan. Also to catalog more Sudanese poets and digitalize their poems into the digital Sudanese poetic archives in hopes to expand to well-known digital collections in America. Now, if you would like, please scan the QR code using your phone camera to direct you to my website to view the projects that I've done so far and a survey which you are all welcome to fill out at your own pace in the comfort of your home. Feel free to follow me on Instagram to know any updates about my research. Thank you all very much for tuning into my research presentation today. If you have any questions or any feedbacks, please contact me by email.